Here are 10 lessons I've learned from intermittent fasting for 10 years. Number one, you can still get fat from doing intermittent fasting. Fasting has the ability to reduce your overall energy intake, but for me, I can eat really large meals and I can still put on body fat while just eating one meal a day. If you can eat really big meals at one go, intermittent fasting is not really going to reduce your body fat levels significantly. Initially, you'll get a little bit of weight loss from not being as bloated and less water weight. And over in the long run, you're going to have to really look after your food quality and training routine. Number two, this was a big lesson because in the beginning, you'll feel like you're not going to survive even after 2 hours without food. But hunger is a feeling that passes. Your hunger is generally controlled by your routine. So for example, if you're eating at 9 a.m. every day, your hunger signals are going to respond to you at those times. Once you start fasting and you ignore those hunger signals, you realize that you weren't really hungry in the first place because hunger just passes. If I'm at a healthy body fat range, which is between 10 to 15%, usually my hunger is well controlled once I'm adapted to intermittent fasting. However, if you're going below your healthy body fat range, you're gonna definitely be more hungry because the body doesn't want to be at a low body fat. One, it's not really healthy to be at a low body fat, and two, your body always fights to have homeostasis, which is a balance. And being low body fat is not balanced. Number three, your stomach can shrink. If you fast long enough, for example, if you're eating one meal a day, your stomach can shrink. You'll have your regular meal and you'll notice that you're getting full quicker, or you might not even be able to finish the meal. This can really be an advantage if you're in a fat loss phase. Number four, there is a sweet spot for intermittent fasting. For me personally, it is between 18 and 20 hours. This is the best balance for maintaining an aesthetic body fat range and also performance in the gym. I have broken personal records in a 16-hour fast, so I don't think performance is an issue unless you go beyond that. Number five, you're more focused in a fasted state. If you're in the sweet spot for me, which was 18 and 20 hours, that sweet spot is a period of clarity for me. And this leads to more productivity. It's rarely that I get brain fog or a lack of desire to do things when I'm in that fasting sweet spot. And I'm sure you've all experienced brain fog and just drowsiness after a big meal. So I think it is more beneficial to do your work first before you actually eat. Number six, as I was saying earlier, I've hit records while 16 hours into a fast, and I don't think intermittent fasting can impact your performance in the gym. I've trained both with an empty stomach and even having a little bite just like a banana, and I preferred training in the fasted state. You don't feel heavy and you're just ready to go, and this might be because you're in a different state of activation for your nervous system. Research says that when you're in a fasted state, you activate the sympathetic part of your nervous system, which is the flight or fight mode, and that generally gives you a state of alertness. Whereas if you've eaten something, especially if you're eating a big meal, as I said before, you're in sort of a comatose state. So you don't really want a big meal before you train, but I think that's just general knowledge. However, too long into a fast can have a negative effect. You can really see a strength dip. But this is personally for me after 30 plus hours into a fast. Number seven, you can definitely build muscle with intermittent fasting. I've had the best periods of training strictly intermittent fasting. I hit a bench press of 145 kilos, squatting 175 kilos, and deadlifting 225 kilos at a body weight of 75 kilos. When I hit these numbers, I was preparing for a powerlifting comp, and this is where I had the most amount of muscle as well. Now, some of you may argue that I might have performed better or had more mass had I eaten regularly. But personally, I think this is quite negligible just because I was hitting my protein targets daily anyways. So ultimately, I think that is more important. Number eight, convenience. I think this is going to benefit a lot of people if you're searching for convenience. You don't have to worry about breakfast or lunch or any meal for that matter. You just eat when you can. as long as you're hitting all your protein targets or your energy intake for the day. Personally, when I've been super busy, I have only 1 meal a day, or when I'm traveling as well, I tend to skip meals because then I don't need to stop anywhere for a meal because I'm hungry, because generally that feeling passes for me. But I see this as a real big advantage for convenience. You can just eat anytime that you want, providing that you hit all your protein targets. So if you have a busy schedule, intermittent fasting is going to be a big advantage for you, just because you don't have designated times where you have to eat. You just eat whenever you can. Number 9, food tastes better when you fast. And if you train, food will never taste better than the moment that you have your first bite. If you're going to an event that you know it's going to have some delicious food or big amounts of food, fasting will allow that food to taste so much better. When you abstain from something, the effect or power of that something is going to be multiplied. It's just like not having coffee for a while and then having your first coffee after a month. It's going to have a bigger buzz. This is the same for flavor. Because you're abstaining from food, you're going to be that little bit more hungry and your body's just going to respond more to the food. But not only does the food taste better, you're going to create a buffer. So if you're going to that big family event where you know you're going to overeat that day, you create that buffer by fasting, and the overall impact of a high food intake day is not going to be as bad as if you just ate your normal breakfast and then going for a big lunch and then possibly a dinner afterwards. This can be a great way to manage body fat levels during the festive periods. And number 10, lastly, you'll be surprised how little food your body needs to operate. If you have any amount of body fat on your body, which I think we all do, then you will definitely not starve, because your body will access that body fat to make everything work. Fasting really has taught me the body is very efficient at operating, and it will do really clever things to keep you alive. As I said, in the beginning, when you're not adjusted, you'll feel like you're gonna pass out, you're not going to survive any longer without food. But intermittent fasting will teach you that your body really needs very little food to survive. But once you get through that adjustment period, you're most likely not going to feel hungry at all, unless you go for 30+ hours without food. So those are the 10 lessons I've learned over the last 10 years with intermittent fasting. And if you're looking to do intermittent fasting, just note that it's not a magic bullet for fat loss, and it's not a superpower. For me, it's mainly a lifestyle and convenience, and I just like how intermittent fasting can make food taste better. And in terms of training, you really don't need to eat around the clock to make gains. So if you really want to give intermittent fasting a try, then I promise you have to get through that adjustment period where you'll have the hunger pains. But after that, you can reap the rewards of that convenience and the ability to control your appetite and not overeating. Alright, if you found those tips helpful, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more tips on training and nutrition.